Hey guys, it's Lauren and welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to bring you another restoration hardware inspired project, only today's project is going to be a piece of furniture. So I found this really fun bench on their website. I love the ornate detail of it. I like that black color against the twine detail, and I like the weaving that's on top. So I decided that I would actually attempt to try to make this. Today I'll show you how I made this bench, and I made mine for only about $35, whereas their version is like $390 something. So all you'll need for this project is a miter saw, a drill, and then I also used a staple gun, and then I'll give you the rest of the supplies while I'm working on the project. All right, so first is going to be to assemble the wood part of this bench. So what I did was at Home Depot, I bought 4 of these 14-inch tall traditional legs, and they look kind of similar to the inspiration. So I looked online and it said that benches should be between 18 to 20 inches tall. So because my legs are only 14 inches, I'm going to attach these 4x4s on top of the legs. And I'm gonna add about 5 inches to each of these table legs, just so that then I'll end up with 19 inches as the height. I have my 4x4s all cut to 5 inches now, and then these will just go ahead and screw in on top of the furniture legs. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this 2x2 to create the frame that goes all around the border of the top of the bench. I'm going to do 2 of them to 40 inches for the width of the bench, and then I'm going to do 2 of them to 14 inches for the depth of the bench. But the depth of my bench will actually end up being about 4 inches wider than that for the seat once I have it constructed. And I used really cheap 2x2s. These are not meant for like furniture making, these are meant more for construction. But since I'm painting them black later, I don't really care that they have these markings on them because that'll all get hidden. I also bought these little molding pieces to go ahead and attach on top of these 4x4s in the end, just to make them a little bit more decorative, since the inspiration had a little bit more of a fancy top to the sides. Next, I'm going to put these top plates on top of my 4x4s. I'm going to center them on there. And I have to put 4 screws on each of the corners. But what this is going to allow me to do later is very tightly secure my chair legs onto these 4x4s. I didn't want to have to use these, but these screws are so short on these furniture legs that I don't think I have a choice. So I'm going to use these little corner braces or corner brackets that are meant for furniture and attach them here and here. I'm going to go ahead and mark for my pilot holes where I'm going to have to drill. I'm going to attach these brackets onto the 4x4 pieces first. All right, now I get to do that on all 4 of the corners of this bench. So here's my bench now with the legs attached. Now on the tops of these 4x4s and 2x2s, I'm going to take some longer screws and go in kind of sideways through the 2x2s and then eventually into these 4x4s on the corner. And I think that'll just help stabilize these corners a little bit more. Much sturdier now. And now I'm going to use a construction adhesive to go ahead and glue down these decorative details on top of my 4x4s. These are meant for like door trim, I think, in the corners, but they're 4x4 and they match the rest of the wood, so. I'm going to use this flat black latex paint to paint over the whole frame of the bench now to match the inspiration piece. So for this next part of the bench project, I'm going to be using this jute twine by Everbilt. I bought it at Home Depot and I bought a few rolls of it. Each one is 190 feet, but you can get these for under $3 a roll, so that's a pretty good deal. And I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping this around the frames of this bench. To start this off, I'm going to take one of the ends and tie probably a double knot in this. And I'm going to place my knot somewhere in the middle of this board on one of the long sides of the bench. And then I'm going to take my staple gun and staple underneath the knot. So I'm pulling down on the string and it's nice and tight. And then I'm going to take the rest of the roll. I'm going underneath this piece of wood, and then I'm taking it back over on top. Then I'm going across and under this opposite piece of wood. And then I'm going to go over and under, over and under. And I'm going to do this about 1,000,000 times. I even occasionally take my staple gun and staple it up on the underside of this support bar, just to keep this nice and in place. When I get to the end of one of my rolls, I'm going to go ahead and tie another knot, trying to make it kind of in line with this piece of wood here. And then I'm going to take my staple gun again and staple underneath. Then I'll take my next roll and pull out the end here. Oh, fake end. And pull out the end here, tie another knot, place it on the inside of this wood support beam again, staple it underneath here, under where my knot was, and then I can start weaving again. Then to finish off at the end of my bench here, I'm going to tie another knot, and then I'm going to staple underneath here. You could stop here with this bench if you wanted, just doing the over and under technique. I decided that I am going to try to weave it now. Originally I didn't think I was going to. I can sit on this, but I just want it to be a little bit more secure. So if you were going to just stop at the over and under technique, I would use a little bit of a thicker twine than what I use, and I would just make your rows as tightly wound together as you possibly can. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to do them lengthwise instead. And for that, I went ahead and measured out some of this twine to 5 times back and forth on this bench. Then taking one of the ends, I knotted it. And I'm going to go ahead and do a starter knot once again on the inside of this bench frame. So right here. And I'll do my staple right under that knot. So I took a piece of cardboard, I made it kind of long and skinny, and then I notched the top and bottom. I'm going to wrap this twine around it. And then I'm just going to go and start weaving with these other pieces of twine. And I'm going to go in about every 5 strands. So I'll go on top of 5 strands, and then I'm going to go under 5 strands, and then come back out 5 strands, back and forth. When I get to the end, I'm going to pull that really nice and tight, and then I'm just going to wrap it around this other sidebar and bring it back underneath the bench. Then back up, and I'm gonna go through it the same exact way I just did it 5 more times. 4 more times. When I get to my 5 rows, I'm gonna go ahead and tie a knot back at the starting end, wrap it under this board again, and staple around the knot. Now I get to start this process over again. I'm gonna measure out the distance between one end and the other so that I can wrap it around the bench 5 times. I'm gonna wrap this around my piece of cardboard here, and then another staple with that staple gun. I'm gonna try to do this close to where I ended with the other strand so that it looks seamless once I start wrapping it again. And then I'm gonna start weaving through again, only this time I'm gonna go the opposite way as the last 5 times. And here's the first 2 rows of that weave. I kind of like the raw, imperfect look of it, but I'm gonna keep on going. I think I'm gonna have to do at least 6 more sets of the 5 going around. And here's that lovely finished bench. I absolutely love this weave detail on the top. I decided to leave a gap here in the middle where my over and under weaving technique from the first step meets, although you could definitely do another strand through here too, and it would work just fine. I also separated out those strands of 5 around the border just to give it a little bit more of a polished look. But overall, I love it. I like this added detail on the top. I did go around and kind of fill in any of those nail holes that I had or extra holes from making it, and everything now just has a nice polished feel. I definitely feel like it looks expensive, and we'll test out my weight here on it. Oh yeah, absolutely. And it holds my weight. It feels a lot more secure than it did when I just did the over and under technique first. So this way, if anyone does sit on it, hopefully it doesn't get destroyed. But I'm definitely gonna use it at the foot of my bed, so I think it'll do its job just fine there. And not bad for $35, right?